I'm in Denali. This is our last day, and we're visiting a kennel where they have sled dogs. The barking you hear would be sled dogs. We're going to have a demonstration featuring the sled dog.
Welcome to the Sled Dog Kennels. For those of you I did not meet on the bus, my name is Ranger Ashley. This is my second year here in the kennel, so last year I was an intern through the Student Conservation Association and AmeriCorps. And I'm actually originally from Kentucky, so I'm not an Alaskan. But what's great about our dogs here is that they're actually here to help protect and preserve all of that wildlife and the wilderness that they live in. So these dogs are not show dogs, they're not racing dogs, they're actually freighting dogs, and they have an important job here in the park in the wintertime. So historically, these dogs were brought here back in 1922, back when the park first started, and they were brought here to help patrol the park for poaching. So do you know why a lot of people came here back in the late 1800s, early 1900s? Gold, exactly. So with the gold rush, there were a lot more mouths to feed. With that influx of people, they needed more food. So there were market hunters here in the park hunting Dall sheep, caribou, and moose. And they would actually hunt them to excess. So they would pile their sleds high with those carcasses, and then they would continue to kill those animals with the thought that if they drove the populations down, then the prices for them would go up. So these dogs were here to help patrol for that. And they basically made that problem pretty much extinct. It's not a problem here anymore, so what these dogs are doing in the wintertime looks very different. But they're still doing a very important job in the park, helping to protect the wilderness characteristic of Denali. But the best way to introduce these dogs is to actually see them run. So what's going to happen here is we're going to take 5 of those dogs, hook them up to that cart over there, and then if everything goes well, we'll make it around the track and end up in this pit here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what they do in the wintertime. The best way to get them excited is to actually do some cheering. So are you guys excited to see them run? Yeah. I don't think they've heard you, so maybe no one's This gets me every time. The dogs do all the work and I'm the one that's out of breath. Yeah, how do you think they did? Probably the happiest government employees you'll ever meet. But a little bit more about what they do in the winter. So you're probably wondering why we have a dog kennel here in the National Park Service. Out of our 419 units, this is the only park that has a dog kennel. So what they're doing now is very different. They're actually helping the park rangers do various projects. So our kennels manager about a month ago sent an email out to the rest of the park seeing what projects they have to do in the winter. So a big part of what they're doing is hauling out scientific research equipment and researchers into the park to help access those backcountry areas. So to represent that, we have a piece of sound monitoring equipment behind us here in the pit. If you notice, there's kind of a chunk missing out of the top. A bear thought that looked kind of tasty and decided to chew on it, so now we have a nice sound recording of a bear chomping on a microphone. The dogs are also used to help stage building projects. So there is a bridge that's over Riley Creek on the Triple Lakes Trail, and we were using teams of 16 dogs to help haul out 1,000-pound support beams to help stage that project. These dogs are also used to help clean up any trash or debris that's out in the park. So right here we have pieces of a bridge that washed out over the Toclat River back in the 60s. The dogs have been hauling pieces of that out for the past few years, trying to keep the wilderness aspect of the park intact. The dogs will also be used to help greet winter visitors. So believe it or not, we do have visitors here in the wintertime in Alaska. Are any of you interested in coming here in the wintertime? No. Yeah, you might need to purchase some more winter gear. So to introduce you to our team now, in our lead position, we have Clove up front, and next to her is Zani, and today is Zani's second birthday. So wish him a happy birthday. He has actually been a really good leader for us, a very good up-and-coming leader. So we'll often put an experienced dog, so that would be Clove today, next to a less experienced dog, and then they can kind of teach each other. So for lead dogs, we are looking for dogs that are extremely intelligent. Today for our summer demonstration, we used our fall training cart, and there is actually a steering wheel on that, but in the winter time we use sleds. And there are no reins and no steering wheels, so how we get the dogs to go is with voice commands. So the main commands we use are G is right and Ha is left. To get them to go, we say, let's go or hike, but you can pretty much say anything to get them started. To get them to stop a little harder, we normally say whoa and then step on the brake. For lead dogs, we also need dogs that are extremely focused. So we don't want dogs who are distracted by wildlife or other dogs, because if they decide to chase a squirrel, you bet the whole sled is chasing that squirrel. Lead dogs also need to be extremely intuitive. So one of my favorite mushing stories actually happened here in the park. There was a musher, and he was in blizzard conditions, so whiteout conditions, very poor visibility. And his team decided to stop, and no matter how much he urged them to keep going, those lead dogs would not move. So he got off the sled, walked out in front, and he was standing at the edge of a cliff. So those dogs have saved his life and saved their own life. So behind our lead dogs today in our swing position, we have Venture, and Venture is a year old. So the swing position is a perfect spot for those dogs that are maybe learning, because they have the best or maybe the worst view of the lead dogs in front of them. They can hear the commands that the musher says and then pair those with how the lead dogs behave. Swing is also a perfect position for maybe lead dogs who need a break. So if our lead dogs decide that they want to follow that squirrel or cut a corner, our swing dogs can kind of keep the rest of the team on track. And for our positions, these dogs are not always in the lead position, and our wheel dogs aren't always in the wheel position. So we switch them around. Garen's getting some love. We switch them around, and most of our dogs can run in the lead position. We consider about a third of them to be outstanding leaders. And some lead dogs are better in different conditions than others. Some dogs are really good at running over river ice, some are good at breaking trail, and some are good at just following other teams. Now that we've seen them work together as a team, kind of the best way to see their personalities individually is to see them run home. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to unclip them, unharness them, and most of our dogs are trained to run back home free to their houses. Some dogs are better at it than others, some kind of have a learning curve, but we'll have one of our rangers catch the dogs. He'll kind of direct them where to go because they do switch positions in the yard. And the reason we carry them like that, we call it two-paw drive. The dogs are the strongest draft animals pound for pound, so if they're on all four paws, they decide where we go. If they see something, they can easily drag us, and then we eat dirt, and I don't want to be a YouTube sensation, and neither do any of my coworkers. So we'll keep Carpe here to talk a little bit about some of the characteristics that make Huskies perfect for what they do. What do you think he has physically that makes him perfect here for winters in Denali? Fur, yeah. So all our dogs have a two-layer coat system. A lot of them have shed out their underlayer. So what you're looking at is their outer layer, which is a guard hair. It's kind of waterproof, keeps them nice and dry in the wintertime, and then normally under it is what they have their second layer. It's more downy and it's really thick. Their ideal temperature in the winter with their two-layer coat system is around -10 to -20 degrees. -40 degrees does not bother them at all. We won't go out on a sled if it's -40, but it's not because they can't handle it, it's because the people can't handle it. Any other traits that you think that Carpe has that makes him perfect for his job here? His big paws, yeah. So we're looking for dogs who have big paws, and these paws kind of serve as snowshoes for them, helps them travel over that snow a lot easier. Not only are we looking for big paws, but we're also looking for compact paw pads. So we want them to be close together. This makes it less likely for snow and ice to build up and get caught in between their toes. Because if that happens, it kind of feels like a rock in your shoe. We do have booties that we will put on our dogs. They are not to help keep them warm. They're to help protect their paw pads. And we will only put them on them if they are, the snow is either really wet or really dry, more likely to cut up their feet. But we breed our dogs for those strong paw pads, so we don't have to put them on them all the time. Any other traits you think Carpe has that makes him good at his job? Strong, yeah. We need extremely strong dogs. We weight our sled so each dog pulls anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds. For longer distances, we keep it around 50, 60 pounds. But our dogs are strong enough that they can pull 100 plus pounds in a short distance. Any other traits you think Carpe has? He's kind of showing one off right now. His thick tail, yeah. So in the wintertime when we're in the backcountry, we actually tie them out in a line and they go to bed right in the snow. So we don't have houses out there for them. And when they curl up, they just take that thick tail, put it over their face, which has a little less fur on it, and then they'll be nice and cozy and warm at bedtime. Sled dogs also have this thing called countercurrent circulation, which helps keep their extremities warm. So in humans, our arteries and veins are far apart from each other. In dogs, they are close together, they're touching. So the warm blood going away from the heart warms up the blood coming back to the heart and the veins. And that keeps their legs and their tail warm. So now that we talked a little bit about what makes him perfect at his job, why don't you think we use snow machines or helicopters out there in the backcountry? They break down, yeah. So if our dogs break down, we can just put one dog in the sled and bring them with us. Do you think that snow machines are more likely to start up at -40 than these dogs, or do you think they'll be excited to do their work here in the wintertime? Yeah. Anything else that makes these dogs better than snow machines? Their sense of smell, yeah. So with that story where the dogs were leading and stopped, if you were on a snow machine, you probably would have just flew right off that cliff. Anything else? They're quieter, yeah. So, except when they're excited, exactly, yeah. But when these dogs settle down, they'll settle down and go to a pace about 6 or 7 miles an hour, but they're basically just panning. They're not scaring away that wildlife, and it's a lot more peaceful here in the winter. You don't have to carry gas either, yeah. And it's also less emissions. So, what do you put in a snowmobile? Yeah, Emissions, what do you get out of a snowmobile? Emissions, exhaust, what do you put in a dog? Food, what do you get out of a dog? Compost, yeah, so our flower beds are all in compost from our dogs. Anything else? So the reason why we actually use our dogs here in the winter, the main reason, is that back in 1980, there was a thing called ANILCA that was passed here in the park. And it made 2 million acres of the 6 million acre park designated wilderness. This means that you can't use any form of mechanized transportation out there. So no snowmobiles, no helicopters, making these dogs the only way to access those remote areas of the park.